Ezra's campfire song's gonna be, I got bugs on my binky, little binky bugs. Bugs on my binky, they wanna give me hugs. Bugs on my binky and all over the rug. I got bugs on my binky, and I'm an Idaho thug. Cute. Let's fire going. Cook some dinner.
Day 2 and our first hike in Moab. We just happened to come across this arch, and since we were in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic, what better way to start off the week than to hike to an arch called Caoona. So I did some research. I wanted to find out how all these trails and arches originated, their names, when they were established, the measurements of these massive arches, the miles around trip, and cool facts about all these places we go. The Caoona Arch originated its name from when potassium was derived from plant ashes soaked in a pot of water. After crossing the tracks, the trail goes up to an old eroded road bed to a top of a sandy mesa. I don't know what any of that means. That is what Google gave me, so we'll leave it at that. I could not find any information on when the arch was established. If you do know, please leave a comment below. The Caoona Arch is 140 feet wide and 105 feet high. It was a massive arch, and a cool fact I found out, it is the world's largest rope swing, but the BLM shut the activity down a few years ago. This arch was a 3-mile round trip, which was beautiful. I definitely recommend it, and dogs are allowed. After we made it to the bottom of Caoona Arch, we crossed the street to the Colorado River.
Where'd they go?
The way back to camp, we noticed a trailhead that led to dinosaur tracks, so we decided that was how we were going to end our evening. The trailhead was called Poison Spider Dinosaur Tracks, and the name originated from the legend that a little girl named Mary Jane Francis died there from a bite of a poison spider in 1896. This was a very short, easy trail. It was only 0.6 miles round trip, and dogs were allowed. Day 3, we headed to Arches National Park. We met up with Skip's dad, Doyle, and stepmom, Regina. The Arches National Park was established on April 12, 1929. The park is approximately 76,518 acres. There are approximately 2,000 natural sandstone arches within the park. The first arch that we hiked to was Landscape Arch. Landscape Arch was named by Frank Beckwin in 1933-34. He was the leader of Arches National Monument Scientific Expedition. This arch reaches 290.1 feet across and 77.1 feet high, making this arch the longest arch in North America. In the 1990s, the largest section fell off, and the narrowest portion is only 6 feet in diameter. This hike was an easy 1.9 miles round trip. The 3 arches that we saw on day 3 lie within Devil's Garden. Devil's Garden originated its name because the locals believed there was an evil forest spirit that lived within. Devil's Garden has 6 natural arches within and lies 7.8 miles long. The next arch we came across was Pine Tree Arch. It originated its name because of the small pine tree growing in the middle of the arch. There were no measurements found on this arch, which was unfortunate. From the parking lot, this arch is a 2.9 mile round trip. The last arch we saw that day was Tunnel Arch, and I found absolutely no information. It started to storm, so we had to evacuate the park. We decided to go to BluPig. It had stormed all night. It continued to storm, so we had to evacuate. This was the result. As soon as we got back, it started to hail, so we all evacuated the boat and drove. We realized the storm was not going to let up, that one's insane. We might not be able to get back to camp.
There might not be a camp left. Oh man, I want to be washing out the road right there.
Eventually the storm got out of Once the sun came out and dried up all the rain, we headed over to Sand Flats Recreational Area. This sandstone wonderland that was established in 1995 consists of 9,000 acres. This park has multiple off-roading trails, all levels. However, we decided to go hit Fins and Things. Skip took off on his dirt bike, Fred jumped in his Jeep, Courtney, Kyle, Ezra, and I piled into the 4Runner. Fins and Things is a level 5 4x4 trail that is 9.5 miles round trip. I thought Fins and Things was a creative name. However, when I researched it, I found out fins are just created when rainwater erodes, parallel fractures caused by the uplift of salt deposits below the surface, and things are what is left of the fin erodes. So it's actually very practical, not creative at all. Fred was actually the one that suggested doing Fins and Things because he owns a Jeep, and apparently if you are part of the Jeep community and you can conquer Fins and Things, you receive a badge. This trail was definitely not for the weak-hearted. I jumped, I screamed, I may have cried a little bit during this experience. However, my 8-month-old at the time absolutely loved it. Let me remind you, I had an 8-month-old in this vehicle. My heart sank and I wasn't sure if I was going to get back in that vehicle and finish this trail or go take my daughter out and walk. We decide to end our evening at Mill Creek Waterfalls. It's a 1.6 mile round trip and dogs were allowed. I was unable to find out how the name originated or when this waterfall was established. So if you do know, please leave a comment below. Unfortunately, because of the storm, the river was super muddy, the waterfall was brown. It's normally crystal clear and the temperature is bearable to go swimming in. However, it was ice cold. Day 5. Side so we could take on chicken corners. Skip took off on his dirt bike, Courtney and Kyle jumped in the Tundra, and Doyle, Regina, Ezra, and I piled in the side-by-side. Chicken corners originated its name back in the day when it was a pack trail and only the least chicken would pass the switchbacks. The best part of the trail were the wind caves. I could not find any information on how the name originated or when it was established, but it is practically a sandstone castle.
Make a movie about this, you said?
Yeah. Every time I go on a cave, I think of that stupid movie. Which I swear I saw chupacabra earlier when I stopped and peed on that ledge.
Yeah?
So I saw something like walk.
We saw a fox.
And I thought it was people. Oh, it could have been the motorcycle guys. Now I think about it. That might have been at the right time.
Legend says cattlemen used to stand in the caves and count cattle as they passed and yell hoorah once they all passed. That evening, Doyle and Regina packed up their camp and headed back to Idaho, so the rest of us headed to town. Ezra! Hi, baby girl! Ezra! Day 6 and the Colorado crew headed home, leaving Skip, Ezra, and I alone once again. We had this brilliant idea to make biscuits and gravy, which turned out very delicious. However, we didn't have enough flour to make gravy, and we thought we could substitute with baby cereal. However, it did not turn out, so we just had biscuits with meat on top. Since the sun was shining and the wind was blowing, we decided to head back to Arches National Park and do some more exploring. First stop was the famous Delicate Arch. In 1934, the arch was described as the most delicately chiseled arch in the entire area. It's a 3-mile hike round trip with an elevation gain of 480 feet. It's the largest freestanding arch within the park. The Delicate Arch is 46 feet high and 32 feet wide. Off to the beating heart of the park, the windows. We continued the circle to Turret Arch. I am probably saying that completely incorrect, but this arch is 35 feet wide and 65 feet high. I could not find the measurements for the windows arch. The next arch we adventured to were the double arches. The larger of the two spans is the third largest arch in the park, measuring 144 feet wide by 112 feet high. The smaller opening is 64 feet wide and 86 feet high. This was my favorite arch of the entire week. We left the park and headed to Riverway Recreational Area to see one more arch. This arch was on Grandstaff Trail, which was a 4.1 mile round trip. Grandstaff Trail was named after the first African-American cattleman in Moab. His name was William Grandstaff in 1877.
That was all I did.
We had to cross multiple creeks. Cool stuff. This beautiful arch was named Morning Glory Natural Bridge. This arch has a span of 243 feet and a height of 75 feet. Day 7, we did something a little bit different. Instead of hiking, we decided to go drive. We adventured onto 43-mile Lost Law Loop Road that took us right into the mountains. The mountains reached 13,000 feet in elevation, and there was actually snow. We decided to take a right on a bumpy dirt road and go check out Oha Lake. Ezra! 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 They're not taking a photo. Once we got back to Moab, we decided to check out the local park and let Ezra run rampant. Have fun this trip?
She's done that for anyone else. I had it all.
Had all the fun? Now you're just cranky and want to go home? Come on. Yeah. Are you gonna eat those? Oh, you need that? What is that? What'd you do? Ezra.
Jump up, get that one. What do you think about all that?
There's like nothing to grab onto. Like with the crash. I won't be able to get down.
Probably not.
That's as far as I go.
Yeah. I just have an advantage because I'm so tall.
We ended our evening with a drive. We stopped and saw some petroglyphs. I'm not really sure if you can see those, but they were definitely pretty interesting to see up close in person. The rest of the evening, we just took a drive. We took some rights, we took some lefts, we saw some massive rocks, we hit some dirt road, we had to turn back. So we just enjoyed our drive, our last night in Moab. This was the last thing we did in Moab, and we reflected on our week. And we had to say this was a phenomenal trip. We did so much hiking, we got to go off-roading, we got to hang out with friends and family, we got to experience flash flooding, hot weather. Ezra was such a trooper, and honestly, this was such an amazing trip, and I recommend it. Our last evening, we had a steak meal, of course, but we just kind of relaxed and started packing to head back to Idaho in the morning.
Gotta smoke a